Okay, everybody see the agenda?
Yep.
Right on.
Yep.
Okay, here we are. Call the meeting to order at 5:06. I don't see, did Bruce send, I don't recall Bruce sending a note saying he's going to be missing the meeting. So, all right. Welcome, Jamie. It's nice to have another member.
Yeah, thanks
That's
for having me.
Do people want to just introduce themselves to Jamie? I'm not sure how we're going to do this. Raise your hand. I don't think the raised hand is going to show up on my screen while I have the agenda up. So let's hang on, and if people can, once I get out of this share screen, we'll introduce ourselves to Jamie. We can't, because Bruce didn't send us a notice, we can't excuse him. Hopefully maybe he'll come in later. All right, so the additions to the agenda, we have the waterfront development discussion. And what I'm hoping to do is, when we get through the business arising from the previous minutes, I'd like to move right to the waterfront development discussion, just so that we're all fresh and able to deal with whatever comes out of that discussion. So people have seen the agenda ahead of time. Is there anything else anybody wants to add to the agenda at this point? Okay, unfortunately, I don't have.
Can you just scroll down a bit? Can you just scroll down again?
You want the whole thing?
Yeah, the agenda. Yeah, is the curbside swap? Yeah, it's on there. Okay, curbside swap's on there, right?
It's always on. Yep.
Always on there.
Always on. It's part of our work plan. The work plan's
Yeah,
always
okay.
on. Okay, so I didn't hear anybody wanting to add anything to the agenda. So can we have so Joanne, you're going to move and second,
Right.
and anybody who objects. Otherwise, I assume everybody's agreeing to the confirming the agenda. No
Is
pecuniary.
Joe?
Pardon?
Is Joe on?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just didn't hear you.
Okay, so I will. Oh, here's Bruce. Hello, Bruce. Hi, Bruce.
He's on mute.
Bruce, just say hi.
He's on mute.
I know. I'm just. Oh, you mean he doesn't know he's on mute?
Right.
You're on mute, Bruce.
Okay, I just got on. Sorry I'm late.
That's fine. We just approved the agenda, and we're moving on to the minutes from March 4th. So I will see if I can pull those up. Oh, hi, Bruce. We got a full view of you. Hey, share screen. Okay, now, what is that? Oh, we have another agenda. Sorry, folks. Okay. Oh. Great. Sorry, I All right, here it is, finally. The minutes from the March 4th meeting. I'll just slowly scroll through, remind if anybody wants to make any comments or corrections to the minutes. All right, I'm sure that if you did notice something, you would have jotted it down. So we'll just get out of that. We'll go back to all right. So I thought I heard, I'm trying to think. I don't know if Michelle LaRose was supposed to participate in this meeting. Has anybody been talking to her? Either of the counselors, have you
Why
had?
was,
No, I haven't. I
I-
don't recall her. I don't recall that, to be honest.
Yeah,
No, I
I
never
do.
heard that
And
either.
sorry to interrupt. She had said in an email she was going to, and I believe we sent her the link. Or did Sylvia, did that get forwarded to Michelle?
George sent her an invitation.
Yeah. I sent an invitation. Hang on. Oh,
why was she coming on?
I think to answer questions regarding the beach waterfront
Oh,
issue.
okay. Okay.
So Jody, are you okay with dealing with this then?
Yeah, I got some stuff from the CN and the consultants there. I got the old, you guys might have, some of you might have seen it, the old, it's a PowerPoint that they did for the town about a year or so ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go through that, and then they got some kind of updates as well, so.
Okay, just before you do that, Jody, what my thought was to ask you, Anne, to explain your reasons for putting it back on the agenda today.
Okay, it was just, my reason for putting it on was we have new members. I know we've taken it out of the work plan, but the letter that went out and was posted on posts, etc., basically chastised the Environment Committee as well as the municipality for doing nothing. And I just felt that not that I want to respond, but I think we need our members, our new members, to realize that we have done something, you know. That's all. It was just an up to date. We don't need to go on, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we need to go over everything that's happened. I think only if there's new stuff. Maybe if Jody could speak to the fact that there's accusations again that all this stuff is floating up in the water under the ice. That's the only reason I did it, was just to maybe have a clear head of, you know, I mean, I'm not planning to talk to either of them about the beach for sure, but a little too close for comfort for me. Anyway, that's the reason I did it. It was just whether or not we want to do anything or do nothing. I just thought it was a bit accusatory, and maybe we should talk about it.
Okay. Unfortunately, I tried to find out where all this letter was posted, and I guess I didn't search hard enough. What is the gist of
George?
what was said?
I can, George, I got it here handy. If I share my screen, I can show you what was posted here.
Okay, sure. Do I have to stop my share? I guess
I don't know. I'll try to see what I can do. I'll just hit share. Oh, you cannot share screen while the participant is sharing, so you'll
Okay,
have
I'll
to.
stop my share.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, can you all see that?
Yeah, see it now.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you a minute to kind of read it, and then I'll scroll down. Just glad they didn't put my extension on there.
Well, why didn't he put his own name on there?
No
Yeah,
doubt.
Like Greg, why didn't he put his name on there?
Exactly. I'd also like to know about this 3.5 million.
Well, that is the value of the waterfront project.
That's what I told him, and I'm not talking to him anymore.
Mm.
Oh, dear.
I mean, it's hard to, like I said, we can quickly, it might be nice, I don't know, Trish might be joined after the fact. We want to wait for I have this kind of remediation project update from 2019, and it kind of spells out kind of what happened over the years and what's currently, and then I guess the latest thing would be that the biosparge has been installed. It was kind of delayed for a bit. They did a test pilot project last year on a portion of the beach and operated it for a while, and now they've put in the entire system, and just some hiccups with machinery and monitoring. So it's been kind of running intermittently this winter as well. When they were drilling some of the helical piles, they damaged some of the new lines, so they had to be replaced. So it's now, I believe the lines have been fixed and it's operating, but it's something that people need to realize. It's not gonna have a dramatic effect overnight. It's gonna, it's gonna take a few years before you really see the impact of this air sparging system that they've done. And as well, they've done a here, this is what they had sent here. Just CN's committed to rehabilitating the municipal site in consultation with Sioux Lookout and MECP. The air sparge system was consulted on and installed in 2020. The system has been running intermittently since November 2020. This is due to the startup process of the new system. CN continues to communicate with stakeholders involved and is committed to making things right with respect to the impacts of the diesel spill. At CN's request and expense, KGS conducted a risk assessment of the municipal property where the CN diesel spill has occurred. So that's something to on behalf of the municipality, we have pension, and that's something they've been pushing for a while, and they've finally done it. We haven't seen the final result from it yet, but they indicate in here that there's no acceptable risk to be present based on the available data for the COCs and receptors evaluated. There will be additional assessment work planned to verify sufficient covers in place when the upland, basically when they're done. There are no impacts within the top 1 meter soil in proximity to the new children's play area. So this is kind of files we're going to be getting here shortly. Again, I don't know, it's hard to, and I've even asked like Eric Grims from the Ministry of the Environment, like, are there other concerns here? Do we got to be looking at other things? And he has not sent us down any kind of path. And, you know, I say we need to make sure we're following all the rules and do the right thing. And if there's more tests, if there's more concerns down there, then we need to be certain and do what we need to do to fix it. And I mean, this whole project in itself was delayed by over a year, just until I think as a municipality, we felt that, you know, the Ministry of the Environment was satisfied with what we were doing and the process we were taking, and this process CN was taking. At the end of the day, there is diesel fuel in the ground, but it does eventually dissipate to nothing. And part of this air sparge does actually speed up that process. And anything that, you know, may get to the lake, which would be petroleum, dissolved phase petroleum hydrocarbons, which this air sparge system further dissolves and prevents from accessing the lake. So it's, I don't know, there's only so much we can do. We're trying to, you know, like I say, we meet monthly with CN and their environmental agents, our environmental agent Pinchin, and with Northwest Health Unit, Ministry of the Environment, and basically every step of the way is discussed. I know at the beginning of the process, I think the municipality was kept somewhat out of the loop, but then we kind of put our foot down and we got given a bunch of information on what they've done and tests they've done. And I know the Ministry of Environment, Eric Grims, he's very prudent about making sure we're involved in every kind of decision and every step that they take.
So just, I think, I'm not sure how many people were aware of this whole issue of the oily substance that that showed up on that the latest poster. But as I recall, there's two ways that oil can be, or that look can be created. One is by diesel fuel, and the other one is through a natural occurrence where iron and is, I'm not sure what the exact chemical process is, but any area that has a high incident of iron in the soil can cause that kind of staining. And there it is there, you just put it on. Yeah. Thank you. And the other thing that I think was brought up during this whole process was there's a very simple way of determining whether it's oil or whether it's the natural occurring thing, and you just put a stick in, and if the I'm not sure how it goes, there it is, when disrupted with a stick. Yeah, so has since there seemed to be quite a number of pictures of this substance, has anything been done to clarify what it is?
Yeah, so I was down there myself and took pictures and did the stick test a few times. There isn't that much this year. In years past, I've seen it a lot worse. But yeah, so it was called into the hotline, so to speak. So KGS has sent someone out to take samples, and we should be seeing the results here soon.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Jody. Any questions about this?
I'm just, oh, sorry, go ahead. I put my hand up,
I
George.
was wondering if we can get that a copy resent to us, Jody?
Sorry,
Just
what's that?
Reference?
This PowerPoint here? Sorry, what was that, Joyce? Can you guys hear me?
I hear you.
Yep.
Joyce doesn't hear you.
No. Joyce, sorry, what you want a copy of this PowerPoint?
I wonder what happened to her.
I don't know.
Okay,
All right, so Anne,
Jody.
you had your hand up, and then
yeah,
Joe.
I'm just curious, that 3.5 million that they are touting, that is the municipal's contribution to the entire beach front beautification?
No, that's not the municipal contribution. That's the original overall price was around 3.9, and the municipal contribution was 900,000, or no, 2.9, sorry, 2.9. And we have $2 million in funding, and just based on just increasing cost, I guess, all the pricing came in above this 2.9 to about 3.5, and just we had a few options provided to council for their kind of to look at and decide, and they decided on the 3.5 version, which kept a lot of the things in the project that they wanted and eliminate some other things.
So that's the total cost, that's all the grant money and blah, blah, blah that goes with it.
Yeah, so you're looking at about a 1.5 of municipal dollars.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Joe. You're on mute, Joe.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, Jody, what was the result of your stick test down there?
It seemed fine. I was breaking apart. Like there wasn't that much. I didn't find that much when I was there. I was there a couple of days before that they had taken these pictures.
Okay, but it was like sticking to the stick and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I didn't think it was like just from what I get. Again, there wasn't much there when I was there.
and I think that the other thing too with this is if you do have that iron seepage, this is a tough time of the year too, because you don't have any wave action right now. Everything's melting, everything's just coming, and it's not, you're not getting the wave action that would normally be there. So it's, yeah, it's kind of a tricky time of year to really get a fair assessment on that.
This
But
is
at least they got the samples and we can get the test
Yeah.
results and go from there. I think that's good.
No, and this is usually the only time of year we see it is when everything's kind of frost is coming out of the ground and things are melting, and it just seems to kind of push its way up to the surface, I guess you could say, or whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. Is it there seems to be a time when it's worse than others, and yeah, I'm not sure the science behind that, but okay. Any other questions? I guess it's from what was posted, it's misleading, as Anne just clarified, is that the town didn't pay $3.5 million for this project. It's, as you said, Jody, it's 1.5 million. So, I mean, I think we need to be, Joyce must have got booted out. All right. So I guess we can all make sure that we clarify with anybody who questions us about this is that, for one, the town didn't pay all that much money, and number two, there's been no indication that whatever that I'll call it well, that discoloration on the beach is no indication that it contains petroleum products. So,
and I think something to raise too is the fact that we did delay this project originally in order to till we felt comfortable, and Ministry of the Environment felt comfortable that what we could proceed and what they're proposing was a suitable alternative to full out removal from the site.
So Joe, did you have another point, or did you not take it?
Yeah, I just wanted one other thing to be kind of put out there as well, just especially for some of the newer folks on the committee, is that the whole reason we had this open house and had this presentation brought and set in a public forum for everyone in town was because of the Environment Committee's pressure to make sure this was transparent and open for the people at Sioux Lookout as well. So as much as they want to knock us, that's kind of fits our purpose is to make sure these kind of instances are brought to light and they're discussed in an open forum. So that is something we also did as a committee.
Yeah, good point, Joe. That's right. And as you know, we were dissatisfied with the forum that they had, and we insisted that they have a second one. So I mean, all of this stuff is, all these things are things that the Environment Committee insisted upon, and I think that maybe played a bit of a hand in things being a lot more transparent. Okay, Jesse.
Yeah, and if you have an issue with how things are run, or you think there's a conspiracy in your community, you go to the community meetings, the committee meetings, like I did with the Environment Committee. I didn't think there was a conspiracy though. And then you join those committees to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I think everybody on this committee has done. You get actively involved, and you make sure that things are transparent, and that the people that are involved are doing things. You don't put posters up and start people second guessing, and there's not even all the information there. It's just information enough that people who don't have the information they have out there seems to be more chaotic, and the intent is to cause people to get angry rather than ask the right questions. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are. I think that the people who are behind this have participated in public meetings. However, they haven't joined any other, besides the Save the Beach Fund, haven't done anything else as far as you're saying, joined any groups. So we have 2 raised hands here. Let's see what we got. I see, Joe, you've got your hand up, and hang on here. Who else?
Joyce.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
No, the other thing I wanted to say, and Jesse kind of touched on it, and the fact that they are insinuating, in a sense, that there is a massive conspiracy between 2 environmental engineering firms, the Northwest Health Unit and the Ministry of Environment, is very concerning, and it's just very out there. The fact that all these 4 agencies are in cahoots or something to try and essentially screw over the town is very out there as well. So it's just another point I wanted to make too.
Yes, I agree. Some misleading information, and as Jesse pointed out, more to get people angry and upset than to maybe point to some positive actions to be taken. So is there someone else has their hand up? I'm sorry, I can't seem to.
Yeah, it's me, Joyce.
Okay, Joyce.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion to log out and come back in. I'm fine now. Yeah, what is the actual amount? I can't recall that the municipality put towards the project. Jody, do you have that number? I have 800,000 in my head, but I don't know if that's
Yeah, it would be 898,000, and then the extra 500 and some. So it's about 1.5 million total.
okay.
Yeah, Jody mentioned that while you were logged out, but
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
All right.
Now,
Okay.
George, before we go on, I see the option for me to raise my hand. What am I doing wrong?
You don't see the option? Go to
No.
go to participants, and then there's
Yeah.
that little arrow, I think. And I believe
Oh, I see. Yeah.
if you
I'm there. Good. Thank you.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
To
great.
raise my hand before the comment.
All right, I'm going to get back to the screen that will allow me to share the screen. Okay. Hopefully. All right. Yes, we got the right agenda. Okay. Business arising. Let's see. There are no delegations. So Did we, I can't remember whether we had a move, whether we moved to accept the March 4th minutes, did we?
No,
No, okay, so Joanne, you're going to move and Ann second. And
Right.
anybody who disagrees with the minutes, raise your hand or shout out, otherwise we're gonna move on. Okay. All right, business arising from previous minutes. So first on the agenda is Bruce speaking to Fresh Market Foods.
Anyways, back to the business rising from previous minutes, my item there. Very quickly, Mr. Fresh Market, I haven't spoke yet with Todd. I've tried a couple times to get hold of him. But I did see an interest, and again, at the landfill just last week, cases of head lettuce, 20-pound bags of potato with 2-3 rotten potato, and it goes on a bag salad thrown out. I assumed it was fresh money, not be. But I did have luck getting hold of the rec act manager and spoke to him about mow-free zones. He was to try and attempt an operational map me so we could share it this meeting. I have yet to see it, so I was just speaking to him on Monday. He hasn't had a lot of time to do it. We talked about mow-free zone. Also talked about the bee friendly. May and June. He kind of thought the two were. I said no, they're different, but overlap. I did mention the example. I was thinking of an example where they're cutting the grass and no reason why it should be cut, and that's from them into Abram Lake Road on the east side of the highway. And I mentioned that to him. I said on the other side of the highway, don't cut anything, albeit it's all in different land difference. And meant to me in a very valid comment, says, I'm not even sure who cuts that. It could be done privately, right? So that's good. We're getting the maps in. But he did say, and it is one of our mandates, and I fully agreed with him. It's the public education that needs to come with this mow zone. And I think we discussed that in the past, how we do the public education. I'm not quite sure yet. So long story short, when I get the operational, I guess we can look at and come up with ideas that they may not cut as often or not cut at all. So that's where that stands. So that part of the action or my action is done. I still got a hold of Fresh. Any
Thanks, Bruce.
questions, concerns?
It sounds like the door wasn't totally shut on you, so that sounds good.
Oh, he's very, very cooperative. Very, it was good. Good. It was good.
That's great. That's good to hear. Thanks for doing that.
You're welcome.
Joe, the article for the bulletin, I didn't see one, so I assume that you didn't get a chance to do that yet.
Well, I think after we discuss our composting survey tonight here and look at that, that's kind of where the questions submitted about the composting survey. So I guess those questions in there or some of the feedback from that, I guess that's where what we'll address.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Okay, and we were supposed to write something on Facebook, the committee, and was that?
Well, again, I think it all is dependent on what people said on the survey, right? And then we respond to it by educating, as opposed to like, oh, well, I need to put all my waste products in the landfill because that helps rot the garbage, right? So those kind of education pieces, but we need to see what people said on the survey.
Right. Okay. Yeah, those answers all make sense. We have to. We don't want to jump ahead of ourselves. And everybody had a chance to see the copy of the Fort Francis bylaw that Jody was able to pull up. Thanks, Jody. So, I'm hearing some static. Does anybody else hear that?
I do. It sounds like somebody's taping boxes.
Oh,
I hear it as
okay. I just wasn't sure whether it was somebody's mic wasn't coming through clear or something like that. Somebody was trying to say something. Okay. So again, Jody, thanks for the resolution to the municipal clerk on the recommendation regarding the keeping of the chickens. And thanks, Sylvia, for getting copies of the 2010 bylaw. Can you imagine that? We were 11 years ahead of Fort Francis.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Joyce.
A question, or rather comment on number E on the keeping of chickens. As council supported the recommendation, the only thing is I raised that it was recommended that the Environment Committee provide education for people who want to raise chicken. And I think Brian mistakenly put that in, not knowing that the person who had originally said they would like to do this has left the committee, and it never did happen. So they did take that out. I said we'd really have to talk to the Environment Committee to find out whether or not they're willing at this point to provide any education, whether we have people on the committee with that information, that knowledge to do. So
Apparently, there's also online courses that people who are interested in raising chickens could go there. So maybe we can, I know that Che Curtis has told me about this. So maybe he could give us some examples and we could just say, you know, here's information on learning about raising chickens.
mhm.
Yeah, I think I agree, Anne. I think that would be the best way. Just I don't know where it could be posted, where those sites could be posted, whether on the municipal site regarding the chicken bylaw or some other place. But I agree. There probably are many good sites that could give information for people interested in raising chickens.
Would you like me to ask Che about if he has any information about online courses?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
All right.
And can I go into the next one then?
Yep.
Okay, right, the day after our meeting, I contacted Signatures and I contacted Cat's Paw. And I asked them, I gave them sort of examples of what we're looking for. And they both got back to me right away saying, oh, we can do that. Give me your email address and we'll send it. And it's been a month. And we haven't got anything yet. And April's now fast, you know, we're halfway through it almost, right? So I don't know what we want to do.
Check your junk mail.
Well, no, I've often communicated with both of
Okay.
them, so.
All right. So 2 hands up. I'll go with Jamie first and then Yoko next.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the composting. I'd be willing to take the composting here and compost it on my property. Same with the stuff from Johnny's. Maybe if there was like a spot at the landfill site where they could drop it off and let me know when they're going to be there, and I can go and pick it up and bring it here and sort it all.
Yeah, that's a great idea. There was I know when I lived in Atikokan, there was a man who had quite a big garden, and he would get compost from the local grocery store as well. So I think they might want you to pick it up as opposed to dropping it off at the dump, but you could probably work that out with them.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll try.
Yoko?
Yeah, I was wondering maybe with the bee friendly yards, if we can't get in anywhere with like cat's paw signatures, maybe we can make like get kids involved and make it like a sort of lookout contest, make your own signs and sort of advertise it on lookout events or something like that. Kind of like where they did with Easter. Lots of kids participate, and I wonder if maybe that's an option to get the word out.
It's a great idea. I like it.
It would also. Go ahead, Joyce. Did you have more to say?
I was gonna say, it takes a mother to come up with those interesting ideas. Who knows how easy it is to get kids to do stuff like that. I like that idea.
Okay, there's two other hands up, but before I go to Bruce and Jesse, how do you propose that we do that, Yoko?
Well, I can probably talk to a few moms who are also teachers, and maybe also people who've run contacts in the past. Like I'm thinking, yeah, I know there's people who've run it. I've never done it myself, but maybe I can talk to a few people who've done something like this and get some ideas and then get something going and report back.
Okay, because I can see that we could even do, like, if Cat's Paw or Signatures gets back to Anne, I can see that even if they come up with a design and the idea of students making the posters as well would be a great addition to the, but especially since all of the students who would be doing that would be educating their parents if they weren't already educated about these kinds of things. So yeah, it's a good idea. Okay, Bruce and then Jesse.
Yeah, sorry, just back to the composting and a couple quick points there for Jamie. Again, I don't think you have to remove anything from the landfill once it's in there. And second, I have been involved with picking material up at Fresh Market before. We weren't using it for composting, we were using it for feeding deer. So it is, well, I guess that's all.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'll go to the Fresh Market, and I approached Giant Tiger as well, but they haven't got back to me about all their produce. It's just a shame that it all goes to the landfill site. It's nutrients that could be used otherwise.
Exactly.
I've got rabbits and chickens, and I like to do composting. I take people's leaves every year. Yeah.
Yeah, not only a waste, but it creates methane as well. So not the greatest. Okay, Jesse.
Yeah, just jumping on what Yoko was saying. I would also suggest getting kids to make seed bombs, since it's bee friendly. We could make seed bombs for flowers and things that attract bees and help bees, wildflowers and whatnot. And I can see kids really enjoying throwing those things in people's yards and on the side of the road and making them.
Right.
What's a seed bomb?
A seed bomb is it's a ball made of usually mud and seeds, and it's dry, and you throw it, and it explodes.
That sounds great.
And it's full of seeds. They're great, wild seeds, wildflowers, and whatnot.
So maybe we can, like after the meeting, we can work something to come up with some ideas for some kids. Is that okay?
Sure, sounds good.
I'm sending you an email. I'm sending you an email, Yoko, with a suggestion. Okay. Okay.
All righty. Okay, so we've gone through all the business arising from curbside swap. I saw people putting things out, but we didn't officially have signs out last weekend, did we?
No, we didn't. And I want to, we said to wait till the end of April. And I wanted to run this by the committee as to whether or not we should be doing it, given the emergency, the lockdown and so on. I asked at the Northwest Health Unit conference call yesterday, I asked the chief medical officer. She said she didn't think it would be a problem. But then when I read the provincial regulations, stay at home, don't go out. I'm wondering if we are maybe putting ourselves at a bit of a risk if we promote it. So I'd like to just run that by the committee as to whether or not you think we should advertise it and go ahead, because people are purging and, you know, and let's face it, people will want something to do. On the other hand, there's a couple of new cases in Sioux Lookout region today, positive cases. They don't appear, from what I can see, to be up north, which means that there could be in Sioux Lookout. So just would like some guidance on that, whether or not we should go ahead.
Okay,
Personally,
we'll
sorry.
go to, Yoko had her hand up. We'll go to the doctor first, and then Ann next, and then Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, this is like speaking me as a physician, and I mean, I don't know what the Northwest Health will say. I mean, it's up, ultimately they'll have to make a call. But with a stay-at-home order, I don't think it's a good idea to do the curbside swab. I think it can be, I mean, the message is essential outings only. I don't know if the curbside swab would be considered essential. I don't think so.
Okay, and now Ann.
Well, we have the curbside swap Facebook page, and people are on it all the time. People are putting things out on their own accord. Maybe we shouldn't be encouraging it, but I think it's good for people's mental health to be able to purge and do something. So that's my opinion.
Okay, Joanne. Oh, welcome, Michelle, to the meeting.
I apologize, I came in late. I had to make a quick trip to Dryden.
Okay, we're just in the middle of discussing the curbside swap right now. So who did I go? Ann, you spoke already. Bruce and Joanne. Bruce, go ahead. You're on mute, Bruce. Bruce, you're on mute.
Yeah, Senator Yoko, I don't believe the Environment Committee should be promoting curbside swap during this stay-at-home order. We can wait weeks till that's hopefully lifted. We don't want to be held liable for anything.
Okay,
I
Joanne
vote.
and Tricia.
I have to agree with Yoko and Bruce too, coming from a public health background. I prefer not to take any chances and to encourage people coming out and about. I mean, it's a great idea. I love the curbside swap, but right now we have to be extra careful. We can't be doing things that could possibly cause more cases in Sioux Lookout.
Okay, thanks, Joanne and Tricia.
Hi, so I do agree with the other members, seeing as cases are increasing in the region. However, I just want to put something out for consideration. According to the measures that have been put out, non-essential retailers can operate for curbside pickup. So that is happening within the province. And so it's available if people want to do it, but I'm on the side of not encouraging the curbside pickup. Thanks.
Okay. Ann, did you have something else to say, or
I do. So I can see, okay, so we don't put out the sandwich board and say this is the curbside, but are we shutting down the Facebook page? People will just go on buy, sell, and trade or whatever. I mean, we can't control what people do on social media. So we don't promote it, but I don't know.
Well, is it possible on the Facebook page to say that, we give an official statement saying that curbside swap will not be occurring while the stay-at-home orders are in place, and just so that the people get that message, and then if an individual wants to do it, that's the onus is on them, as opposed to saying, well, I saw it on the Facebook page or whatever.
But we didn't even start the Facebook page. It wasn't the Environment Committee that did it.
So then why should we be concerned about it then?
I don't know. I'm just saying, wondering what, I know that Joyce last time had put down, please be cautious about putting stuff out and, you know, being 6 feet apart from everybody, but it's not us that started that Facebook page.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Joyce?
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough one. Let's keep in mind that the last time we shut it down, we didn't do the curbside swap that first month or so of the shutdown. And we only did it after things were opening up. And we didn't have cases in the region at that time. My sense is I'd love to be able to do it. And it is, I agree, it's really good for people's mental health. But are we putting ourselves as a municipally appointed committee at some risk, given that the province is mandating this? I do believe that people will do it themselves, and that's fine. And last weekend it was almost a full curbside swap with people just putting on the website or the Facebook page. Yeah, given that it wasn't started by us, I think that kind of keeps us distant from it. I think my approach would be to just say nothing at all about it. Just be quiet on it. That's sort of like with the Easter contest out at Cedar Bay. We just decided it was promoted already that we would not be promoting it over the long weekend because of the emergency. And people went, but it's also like an issue of us, you know, protecting the municipality that is supposed to be providing modeling and so on. And I mean, I would love to be able to do it, but just given all the stuff that's coming out from the province, I don't know. We might be putting the municipality in an awkward position.
Okay, I see Joe wants to comment.
I think the definition of promotion would be us putting those sandwich board signs up. So I would say, let's not do that. I think that protects us. It protects the municipality. It's not us actively promoting during this. A Facebook page that wasn't started by us, where people can post photos. And I think that's actually better, and it's a safer way to do it because you can see the photo and identify items that you want. So if you go get them, you know what you're getting. You're not rummaging as much. You're not going through the stuff as it would just be if it was on one day and everything's out and you're driving around looking through everything. If it's not ran by us, let's just leave it alone. Individuals are going to do what they want to do. I don't think we can sit here and speculate about all the actions that individuals are going to take, because people are going to do what people are going to do. The guidelines are out there for everyone. It's not up to us to make sure they follow them. So let's not promote it with the sandwich boards and just leave everything else as it is.
Okay, sounds like there's consensus around just not advertising, as Joe said, and let people make their own decisions about what they want to do, whether they want to put things out or whether they want to go and looking for things. That's up to them. So those who had their hands up, unless you want to say something else, can you just take your hands down just so that I have an accurate? Joyce, did you? I see a little brown hand in your screen. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's yeah, and I think I would just like to have a few ideas if people ask, you know, if people are asking on Facebook or whatever, just to say that we are not promoting it at this time. However, it would be up to individuals to take responsibility if they do choose to participate in putting items out on, or something like that. But
Are you saying you would respond if someone asked, or are you saying we should have something on
No.
the Facebook page?
no, I'm just saying, if somebody were to ask, I would just like to think about a response that would reflect what we are saying here.
Well, I think most of the people who have commented have made given good ideas about the response. I mean, basically is that the Environment Committee is not officially sanctioning curbside swap for the month of April. And,
Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
fair.
all right, is that, can you take your hand down now?
I don't know how to.
Go to participants.
Lower hand, okay.
There you go. Thank you. All right, now composting. Wow. Let's Joe, you had some suggestions about where do we go. Maybe would you like to take the lead on this and make comment about the survey to start off with?
Yeah, George, if you wouldn't mind, I can share my screen. I pulled together just a quick presentation, nothing too fancy.
Okay,
we can just run through as a group and look at everything that we got back.
excellent. Okay, I'll take my share off. Okay, there you go.
You guys see that?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
That looks pretty fancy to me.
I knew someone would say that. I didn't do much. I just cut and paste some of the stuff in here and added a few points, pulled out a few comments that I kind of thought were kind of relevant and decent. So basically, and just an overview of it, we had 232 responses. Feedback was mostly positive. There was some good suggestions for consideration. We obviously had some good positive feedback. There was some negative feedback, and just some ideas I put together around moving forward with this survey, but I definitely want to hear some from you guys as well on how us as a committee move forward. So question 1, do you currently compost? We had 52% people say yes, and 47% said no. So, and everyone answered this question. So looks like a pretty even split about people that are composting and not. The other thing I would pull out of this data is the people that are composting are probably more inclined to complete the survey than those that aren't. So just something to keep in the back of your head as well. If you answered no to question number 1, would starting an at-home compost be of interest to you? So 163 said yes, 69 skipped. So they must have said yes before. But the other factor is this one I think a lot of people got confused on and how to skip this. It wasn't quite clear, so there might have been a bit of confusion here. So, but still we had 163 people say yes, they would be interested in starting an at-home compost. And even still, we had 37%, or sorry, 110 people said they would be interested in starting an at-home compost, and 37 said they possibly would. So it's good. So if you answered no to question 2, are there any specific barriers that might be preventing you from composting? So there's, as I kind of was wondering, that the no space or living in a rental kind of did stick out a bit here. And then there is just that lack of knowledge. People don't know how, or probably don't know where to get started. Some people just have no use for the material, so they don't want to do it. Lack of time was a factor, and just people just generally not interested. But the bigger one to pull out of here was the other. So we had 41 people select other and fill out comments. So I went through the comments and just kind of did a bit of a tally from what the things that came out of the other were. So we had about 15 comments that that were related generally to wildlife. And we had kind of 15 comments that just really weren't applicable to anything. They just kind of didn't fit anywhere. 6 people said they currently compost. Again, I think there's just a bit of confusion about skipping some of the questions. A couple of people said some stuff about like how to use the bins and not sure how they operate and stuff like that. So again, I think that can be tied into the don't know how. And then the cost again was one that came up, and bin availability at our local suppliers. I think Home Hardware does have a few they keep in stock, but it is something you can easily go in and ask and order there too as well. So again, the biggest thing I kind of pulled out of here is the wildlife. The wildlife, the lack of space, and just and the not unsure of how to get started or don't know. So those are kind of the key areas I pulled out of this about why people aren't composting. And so I think those are some of the areas that I identified later that where the Environment Committee can kind of step in. Would municipally run composting program be of an interest to you? So 82% said yes. So that's good. Now the next slide though, once people will say yes, it's an interest to them, but then when you tease out with if there's cost or user, if it's covered by the user versus tax base, you see the numbers kind of to separate a bit here. So what we notice is that there are still people that would want to say yes, it is, but now there's people that if it's going to cost them something, they don't want it. And there's some people that are on the fence depending on how much. So there is kind of some pullback once you start introducing a cost factor to it, which is something interesting, and that I did kind of take into consideration going forward. And then this is some of the stuff tied to the usage. So would you have a use for locally produced compost? If so, how much per year? So most people said no. Or a fair amount said no, and then the range, the percentage range about 25% for the first two, very little, or yes, up to a half ton amount. So there is a bit of potential uptake for it, and a few people, 30 people had quite a bit of use. So that was something that it's an interest there too, with just how if there was compost made available, what kind of use there would be. Seems like there are some people that would have a use, but again, I think before you get that use, I think that the better place to start with this is actually promoting it more in the community. And I think once it's out there, if it's out there in the community more, you're going to see more people have a desire or use for composting. And then the last question that I kind of threw in, I was actually pretty surprised with the results on this one. There's a gardening group that met once or twice a month during the growing season. Would you be interested in participating? And 152 people said yes. So that was pleasantly surprising for me. I think that's good. I think that kind of speaks to I think there's a bit of a shift with folks and getting into gardening, especially, if you have a young family and stuff like that, and homeowners taking pride in your home and getting into that kind of stuff. So that's good to see that there's looks like there is a kind of a thirst for knowledge around gardening out there. So it was good to see. Some of the positive feedback, these are just cut and paste right out of the Excel file that Brian sent around too. Look into a hot rock composting system that would include composting food waste, yard waste, and manure from the cedar-based stables. Other places I've lived have had the green bin programs made a huge impact on cutting down waste. I think it would be excellent to have in Sioux Lookout. Leaf pickup, we don't have leaf pickup in fall or spring. Any of us don't have the means to get these, so I think we're gonna have to send everyone to Jamie's house with their leaves. And then check out Brandon, Manitoba's composting program. Anyone who can prove they live in Brandon can get compost for free at their landfill for flower boxes, etc. And the town supplies the green plastic containers for property owners. That's good. And the one thing to consider there too is it might be a good system, but Brandon is quite a bit bigger town municipality than us. So. I think it's a fantastic idea. We've been composting for years and have always wished and hoped for this service to the community. Too much beneficial organic waste gets into our landfills, and we need to harness that energy and put it back into our soils. So I almost think, by the sounds of Jamie this evening, that might have been his comment, but yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of the nail on the head with the whole reason behind promoting compost in our community. That sums it up quite well. Just a couple more. Hills, Ontario, which had a composting program. It was well run, great example of how the practice can encourage a community to be more aware of the waste products and how they are reusing or composting items. Education on how to compost at home and other tips for sustainable gardening and create DIY ideas would be great. And there are many types of compost, including winter composting. Perhaps sharing some info with the public via the paper could help promote interest. There seems to be many hobby gardeners and houseplants lovers within the community. Food waste is a concern with individual homes in both rural and urban communities. Composting draws attention to the waste, but is also a purposeful way to reuse some uneaten items. Perhaps this focus can be part of the compost initiative. Thanks for asking the public to contribute thoughts. I hope it provides direction. And then, of course, we got to look at the other side. Some of the negative feedback we did receive is garbage is ridiculously expensive in Sioux Lookout, and plus, unless you plan on reducing the cost, I have no use for any of your programs. The private sector can provide programs cheaper and more efficiently. Okay. Taxes are already high enough for the service that we are provided in town. Municipal run composting program was started. I would expect it to be covered by said taxes without the rates increasing. So again, I think someone didn't understand the premise of a user pay system. It wouldn't be coming from the actual tax base. It would be the users of that system that would hopefully be covering all that cost. Nothing other than we shouldn't have to pay a fee for composting when it should be free. I'm sure a lot of people are already composting free of charge, so it doesn't make sense to bring this up in a community, but make people pay for it when they're doing it already free at their own home. And then the last one is commercial composting is an expensive venture with more regulations and requirements up the yin yang in the same manner as to why our water and sewer rates are through the roof. Regardless, we are surrounded by water. I hope council is not swallowed up on the concept of politics of environmental purification on the idea of commercial composting. When one can compost on their own without being regulated and increasing the rates, composting is an easy thing to do on one's own. Municipal involvement is not required. There are better areas for the municipality to look at that are better suited for the environmental community. Please provide a cost-benefit analysis prior to looking for comments, for local comments. So again, I kind of expected the tax thing to come up and the cost, because that's always a button that people push. So all in all, though, there was a lot more positive feedback in this category than there was negative, which was good. A few more categories in about the wildlife, and I guess more people in rural have higher chance of encounter. So that's just something to consider as well. So some of the thoughts I just kind of threw together around that were, it would be kind of for us as a committee to work on maybe developing some promotional material that we can put out. So these are just maybe one-page things. I know I've seen the town, some of the material that they are putting out now is excellent. It's well designed, it's well laid out. So maybe if we can get some material like that, we might be able to tap into getting that kind of finesse put on our material and just give it a nice clean look. So just some stuff getting started, just a basic introduction to composting, some of the stuff behind it, how to compost on a budget, controlling costs, do DIY tips, build it yourself instead of spending $100 and something bucks on a bin at a store. Wildlife deterrent methods, how to compost to not attract wildlife, things like that to maybe try and help educate people on how to keep bears and skunks and stuff out of their compost pile. How to compost in limited space. So maybe there's some material we can pull together on like rental, like a composting in a rental or small scale compost, stuff like that. And then, and that's half a thought there that you're witnessing. I think that's where I wanted to tie it in. So the other thing with the take up of the gardening group, and I know the gardening group might tie into a couple of different items in our work plan, but if there was some people that wanted to maybe get this gardening group going, it might be a good way to promote composting in the community. We can maybe set something out on Facebook, set out a criteria, a structure. I know the COVID thing's a wrench in this, but I just want to set the structure up to roll out post COVID. That's kind of my intention here if we ever get there. But that's kind of where I'm looking. So if there's meetings twice a month, maybe a Saturday morning, and there's one person selected, a few people go to their house, they talk about their garden, what they have on the go, what they want to do. People can borrow tips and tricks or provide feedback and encourage that, and just kind of that local support built into the community. And then that will help promote locally sourced food. And the other thought I had is there's some people that might not have an interest in where they are, might not have a need for material, so they don't want to compost. But something like this and setting up some kind of a group where people like Jamie, how we mentioned he wants the compost, and bring it there. And if you want to compost and do that, and if you got somewhere you can take it, if there's people that are running good composting and they want extra material, then get those names out, advertise it, and try and facilitate some of that stuff to happen. So those are just some of my thoughts. I'll turn it back over to everyone else, and I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts.
Okay, Jamie, you had your hand up. You were on mute when I saw you. Jamie?
Hey there, I'm on. Okay, so yeah, I was just what Joe said there. I was thinking about setting up some kind of program where I could charge $10 a month and pick up once a week people's compost, go around and pick it up, much like the garbage truck does once a week or something like that. And but yeah, if you can get information and out there and for people that are doing composting and want more stuff, then that's a good idea.
Okay, so how would you advertise that, or how do you see that working out as far as because I think there probably are people who live in apartments who may want to compost and can't, and may take you up on a $10 a month. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it would garbage bag tags. It would save them on garbage bag tags, right? So I think the cost would be minimal, and I could include leaves as well. I could do leaves and take all that good stuff out here.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I could use the.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Maybe maybe I could borrow the sludge trailer. The dump trailer there, and pick up compost like that, or if there's a local drop-off site, and then I can pick it up there. Or I don't really know how to get this started, but any direction would be helpful.
Or it would be a private business with regular help, like promotion.
All right.
I was thinking about a central drop-off site, but I think one of the issues might be that where would it be, and would it have to be officially sanctioned by the municipality, and unless it's on somebody's private property, I think we run into that a whole issue, but maybe the councillors can comment on that.
Yeah, or I could do it as a private business venture or something, and you guys help out with advertising or something like that, or educational material.
Yeah, I think that what Joe was talking about, having perhaps having on the municipal site I don't know, advertising the various places you can go to learn about composting and gardening and all those things if we also could have your contact information and information about the service that you're wanting to provide. I'm just wondering if people have any comments about that. Joyce?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think that it would be much easier for it to be a private initiative at this point. Simply because there are so many, like when a municipality decides to do it and has a site, there's so many regulations that they need to worry about and follow. So I think at this point, you'd be far better off just to do it solely on your own. And I think I think you'd do very well, to be honest.
Right.
I was gonna say, and thank you, Joe, for such a detailed presentation. You really were able to grab that. You got a master's thesis there, sir.
Oh God.
I was wondering if there would be some way of writing up an article to start and put it into the bulletin, to follow up with it, and this is what people are saying and what do you think, sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I think, and I kind of do have a draft of one kind of pretty much almost there. I'm waiting for, I was waiting for this, some of our feedback and what the group wanted to move forward with and how we wanted to move forward. So that's kind of the stuff, if we're going to release it, and that would build part of the article. Some of the article did already get released. I did kind of take some bits out of what I already had kind of drafted and answered the bulletin's questions on the composting that they did run in the paper. So there is some stuff in there, but yeah, if we kind of land on some direction, I'm not opposed to kind of maybe stating, do an article on the composting, the things that we noticed came up, maybe just give a summary and maybe just a brief thing on the direction the Environment Committee wants to go and how we're going to pursue this. So stay tuned.
Okay.
Along those lines.
I'm going to make a quick comment and then I'm going to go to Yoko and then Bruce. No, I can't think of my comment. I would think that your article could address some of those concerns and issues like you mentioned earlier on about wildlife, about anyway, all of the concerns people had, and if you could put that into the article, that would be a good start. Okay, so Yoko.
Yeah, I just want to, I guess, more thoughts on Jamie's idea of like taking in the compost. I think the waste reduction is one part of composting. I think then sort of giving back and having compost material available for people to use would be another part, because I think that really enhances people's quest for sustainable living. So, I mean, I think that would be something that I'd personally like to see. But I think that, yeah, for the Environment Committee, waste reduction is one thing. But if we're talking about like compost and gardening, I think that maybe it would be nice to maybe direct it to Jamie if there would be compost for sale, like cheaper than at Home Hardware or something like that, right?
Well, I don't know. This is up to you, Jamie, but you could always have a deal where if someone paid you $2, no, what was it? If somebody paid you to take away the compost, then you could give them back some of the compost as a way of them paying for it to be taken away. All right, Bruce, you had a comment.
First of all, thanks a lot, Joe, for putting that summary together. Like you, I was quite impressed. I thought it was most of the negative. Even with some of the negative comments, we can address issues through public education. I think we as need to focus at this moment right now, the home-based backyard compost, not the pickup. Although the pickup is done through Jamie privately, that's a different issue. Because it's my understanding, if distributions along with the greenhouse complex ever gets off the ground out of the airport, understanding there would be also compost facility part of that. So that would be the town. They would do the cost analysis. Correct if I'm wrong, but I thought it somewhere. This educational thing, if people are interested in composting, this is a simple way at it. What do you do? How do I bake a pie? Go to the municipal website, look at how to bake. I just go to it, how to make an apple pie. So if they're seriously interested in back composting, I assume they'd go to Google and learn how to do it that way. Albeit we can definitely put material on our municipal website as links to find out compost. And Joe did mention this COVID thing makes it difficult. As far as the public education, I was thinking in the future, we could have a booth at farmers markets on a Friday. We could attend a trade show. Maybe we could set up a booth side market food Saturday afternoon and have a composting expose there. Get exposure people with the gardening group. If that gets off the ground, right? We'll go over to Van's house. We'll go over to City's house. We'll go up to Peacock's house and see how to compost in different ways, ins and outs. Because when I think of composting right now, my short-sightedness, I compost, but just vegetable matter to food scraps. Anyways, thanks again, Joe. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. I think that your comments about we start small. I mean, there were some comments in the survey about how municipal composting took place in, say, Brandon or Halton Hills or where it was, but these are all communities that are much bigger than Sioux Lookout, and they have the infrastructure to deal with this kind of thing. I think helping people to, as many people have said, know how to compost in their own backyards and promoting it as much as we can is where we need to start. It sure would be nice if we could have a municipal pickup, but I think that's down the road a ways. So, and I echo the comments that have been made before. Great work on the survey, Joe. Thank you. Okay.
One more.
Joanne?
No, I didn't say anything. But
Oh,
thanks.
okay.
That's great.
You're on the you were
I cleared my throat.
you're front and center for a bit there. Yeah, I'm going back to the agenda now. So
No, I was going to say one more thing, George.
yes.
Yeah, if the committee could just keep its eye on that proposal that we had heard about last time from economic development out at the airport that Bruce referred to. If we could just, continue to keep our issues up front and maybe continue to ask what's happening with that issue and express our interest in it.
Okay, good point. Throw this out to you, Jody. Is that something that you could do? Is say that the Environment Committee has expressed interest in how the composting program would work at the airport. Can we have an update on that? Is that possible?
Yeah, we can look for an update. I can reach out to see where it's at. I mean, it was in kind of its infancy, so we'll see if there's been any movement forward on that.
Okay, so just see if Vicky can give you some update on that. Thank you.
Yeah, and share the results of the survey with the economic development.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
Good point. Go take your hand down, Joyce.
Oh, sorry. How do I do that?
Communication and education.
Mine is under reactions, not participants. Must be a different. Okay.
As Jesse pointed out, it's just basically a thumbs up under reactions. So
yeah.
Maybe you're just waving at us. Okay, I'm just thinking. There's aside from what we just talked about with composting. I'm not sure if there's anything else we want to add to our communication and education goal. Does anybody have anything to say about that?
The bees, feeding the bees.
Oh, the bees. Okay.
We said we were going to do some kind of education on letting your grass grow and all that. Or is that one of our projects?
That's a good point. Tricia, you have a comment? Maybe you're commenting on what we're talking about. Go ahead, Tricia.
Thank you. So under communication and education, I know that this month, I think April 22nd is World Earth Day. And so if we are putting in an article, it would be good to tie it into that. The theme this year is called Restoring Our Earth. So if we are talking about composting, we can also talk about the benefits and how it contributes to sustainability. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, good point. So we could talk about composting. We could talk about the value of bee-friendly zones. Who wants to take that on? Or do we have a joint thing where people get together at some point or share it?
That would have to be put out very quickly because, you know, it would have to be in by next Wednesday or something. So less than a week.
Yep.
And it has to go through Brian.
That's right. So I'm not going to volunteer.
Yeah. I was just thinking that there may be a lot of cutting and pasting that could be done. Like as far as the bees, there's probably information online about the value of that. But I don't think I'm prepared to do that at this point. So maybe unless somebody wants to try that out, as you said, it's got to be in by next week. Okay. I know that, Tricia, I know that in years gone by, there's been a fair amount of effort put into advertising Earth Day and having activities around Earth Day. It seems that energy seems to have faded a bit. I'm not sure whether we can mount anything before next Wednesday or not. Okay, nobody jumping in. I think we
Well, we probably have a couple of weeks though, I think. Because the 22nd is the Wednesday. That's what, 2 weeks from now? 3 weeks?
No, but yeah, but the article has to be in the week prior to the bulletin going out.
Yeah, so
And it has to
be
get
on
through
the
Brian
Thursday
first.
before. It have to
But
be
it
on.
has to go through Brian first as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, and plus it's March break and, you know, the whole shebang for people that have children and I don't know.
Has to be in by next Thursday, right?
Yep.
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Okay, well, it seems like we don't have anybody who's feels they can put something together by that period of time. So I guess we'll pass on that. Sorry, Tricia.
Is it just an article?
Pardon?
Is it just an article that for the newspaper?
Yeah, tying on the article would be, I think, as Tricia was saying, you said the theme is restoring the earth. Is that what it was, Tricia?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So an article indicating that Earth Day is April 22nd. The theme is restoring the earth, and here are a couple of ways that we can make sure that the earth remains healthy is through composting, restoring things back to the earth, and ensuring that that we have all of the wonderful fruits and vegetables that the bees help us grow. And maybe those could be the two themes of the article.
Okay, yeah, I can get something together for a week. Yeah, I
Okay,
can,
so,
I'll volunteer for that.
okay, thanks, Jamie. So the process would be that you would, I think, probably put the article, email the article to all the committee members for comment, and then once we've got we'd have to do a quick turnaround on that. But once everyone's had their chance to comment on it, then it would go to Brian McKinnon at the town office. So what would be the process for that? Anybody have any comments about that? Should it go to Sylvia and then go to Brian, or?
Yeah, after the committee has made their comments and emailed back and forth, and once it's good to go, I can forward it to Brian.
Okay, okay.
So what's the deadline to have it done?
What's the deadline?
Tuesday at noon.
No,
Tuesday at noon?
Get it to us before we have to send it on to the paper, like to us, to Brian, like what's the deadline for that?
Woof. Today is Thursday already, right? Oh my God.
Yeah, it's the same Tuesday at noon, but they are a little bit flexible, so it's not a huge deadline. I mean, I think Wednesday would be fine as well.
Okay, all right.
To get to the paper, you mean?
No, to send to Brian in order to be in the paper for the 21st.
Oh, okay. So Brian, the Tuesday is Brian's deadline and Thursday is the bulletin's deadline.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So then, let's say that Environment Committee members' comments have to be submitted or by Monday, this coming Monday.
Yeah, that's good.
Which means, Jamie, you have to do the article on the weekend here.
Yeah. Okay.
It's going to get Trish to do it anyway.
Hey.
Hey.
I already just said I would help him.
So, community, moving on. Thanks, Jamie, for doing that. Community garden.
That's me.
The ground's still a little frozen, right?
Actually, you know, it's thawing pretty good because I went over there this past week and I was just checking all the beds out, and there are multiple beds that need to be repaired. So I did a garden map for Richard and just highlighted the ends and pieces that need to be repaired. So he's going to get his guys onto it as soon as it stops raining, I guess. And hopefully that'll be completed before, well, hopefully by the end of April, if not the first week of May, because we may have another early growing season like we did last year. I've had a few people contact me to rent a bed. And what I've been saying is that depending on the COVID restrictions, we'll probably have to follow the same protocol as we did last year. And I have all the signage from last year, so I'll make sure that that gets up, and I'll wait for a word from Brian and the health unit on that respect. So yeah, it's spring and I'm antsy. Also, Bruce, if you do have a chance to talk to Todd at Fresh Market, there was a time when I was getting all the veggies and fruits that were getting thrown out, and then all of a sudden it stopped because all the chicken people managed to get there before I did, and then they didn't give me any more. But if you get a chance to talk to Todd, perhaps even once a week, I could get a couple boxes of some of the veggies and stuff for the community garden, because it really helps for my composting bins, for breaking down everything else that I throw in there. If you wouldn't mind.
Thanks, Joanne. I can do that for you. No problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
And other than that, I'm just going to wait until the beds are made or beds are repaired, and then go from there.
So, Joanne, does the material for the to repair the beds, is that supposed to come out of our budget?
Well, I've had pieces of wood that have been left over the years, And I did have money that we had raised over the years too, but that may have been depleted now. So I can talk to Rich about that, but I think they kind of just use whatever they've got hanging around, but I can check with them and just see if there will be a cost. Because I can, like, depending on what we're spending our budget on, it shouldn't cost that much. Because I've got the wood over there, like the pieces of wood and those big, whatever you call them, 4x8s or 6s or whatever it is for the connecting on the ends.
Yeah.
So, but I can check with them. They've been
Okay.
really good at this, so I'm hoping it'll be good again this year.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that in case you needed
Yeah.
some approval from the committee.
Yeah, and the water, they cover the water costs too, so it doesn't come out of our budget.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jody, anything on the horizon for municipal projects?
Not really. Everything's kind of moving along. I actually just started a RFP process for some heating, ventilating, I guess heating and cooling upgrades at the municipal office here. So our system, while we have what can be considered a very efficient system, the town office is a geothermal system with some vertical wells and some ground loops under the parking area. The system is like 25 years old, so it's kind of at the end of its useful life, and we're going to be making some upgrades to make it more efficient and heat and cool the space more effectively. And I think 100,000 of it's funded. It's not coming from municipal tax dollars. We received funding to do quite a large portion of it.
So the infrastructure for the geothermal is functional. You just have to upgrade whatever pumps and stuff, or what's
Yeah, so there's 3 ground loops, and actually one of the loops was leaking, so it was decommissioned, and that's why they installed the vertical wells shortly thereafter, about a year after they did they installed the initial system. Unfortunately, when they first installed the system, the fella who designed it was very forward thinking, and you can almost call it was a fairly radical idea what he was doing. He was trying to heat and cool radiantly. So basically you have the same kind of pipes you use to heat with fins that you would then use to cool. And unfortunately it was a bit of a disaster, because when you cool with something like this, there's a lot of condensation. So then they had to install drip trays, and it didn't work the way it should. But in principle, the system was good, so they switched it to water to air handlers, basically. So in each space there are heat pumps. We now have heat pumps in each space with 3 water to water heat pumps in the basement that feed these heat pumps throughout the building, and it's all going through air and duct work. And it works. I mean, the system's worked decently over the years. It's time for, like I say, everything's kind of at the end of its useful life, beyond the end of its useful life. And it's time to start the upgrades and make some changes to how it was originally designed to make it work more efficiently. In particular, in some wings, we have 1 unit supplying heating and cooling to both the south and north walls, basically. So each half has different kind of heating and cooling loads. So we're going to go from 1 big unit to 2 smaller units to better kind of heat and cool the space, which I think will help things as well for occupant comfort and just general efficiency.
okay? That sounds good. Any comments about that project from anybody? Questions? Okay, environmental recognition. Thank you, everybody, for your environmental recognition. As
I
they
must say, George, you were the #1 guy to get all the comments and everything. I mean, Faye Libler got a lot of comments and a lot of kudos, but you surpassed that. So.
Yeah, as they say, I got a lot of love from the community on that. That's great. Yeah, thank you very much.
I thought that was funny when you said to me, I'm feeling the love. But anyway, it was suggested that Carl Friesen, who picks up garbage along the highway with his horse, could be recognized. And I just wanted to pass that by everybody because there are a lot of people that pick up garbage. I just wondered if that's going to be a slap in the face to others who do. I don't know. Thoughts?
There was an article in this week's bulletin about that the Hochstettlers and Carl Friesen. I understand the dilemma you're in, because that's true, and maybe I should pull out of this and let someone else comment.
Carl has been doing it for years and years and years.
I think the point that whoever made that suggestion, I think the point is that he's using his horse and he's not going out in his vehicle. I think maybe that's the difference between what he's doing and what other people are doing. I don't know if that's why the person suggested it, but
I think it's just a unique way of doing it. I know Roger, when he canvasses for arthritis, he rides the horse and everybody gives him money. So anyway, I mean, if nobody has any objection, I will definitely do that.
yeah, I think that would be worthwhile. I mean, and you could highlight the point, the uniqueness of it, the fact that he's doing it in an environmentally friendly way. He's contributing compost to the sides of the road, and his horse is anyway. Just one comment about my recognition. Now that I bike 365 days of the year, I have to wear a disguise when I drive my car.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we didn't say 24/7. We just said 65. So.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have any other suggestions for environmental recognition?
I'm just wondering if there might be some way of including all or acknowledging that there are many people that do this, and but yeah, I would say to emphasize the uniqueness and the number of years he's done it for decades. He's done it 40 years, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the Hochstettlers been doing it for 10 years, according to the article in the paper. So,
Yeah.
And I know my neighbor down the road here, Corrine, I forget her last name now.
Yeah.
She's been doing it forever too.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, well, that might be a good point, that we make a general recognition, although I guess you don't have specific names, but just a recognition to all of those people who take it upon themselves to pick up the litter. Because again, you have Nancy McCord and their family. They do it. They've been doing it for a number of years.
And Jesse,
yeah.
You could ask people to nominate people who do this. Do one, like say do Carl, and then ask please nominate other people who are doing these cleanups, and we would like to honor them, because we don't.
Does it every day?
Pardon me?
Lois? She lives down here on Drayton. She walks to town every day and back, and she's always got a garbage bag. She's always picking up garbage.
Lois Mombercat.
That's it. I didn't want to pronounce your name wrong.
Yeah, there you go. You see, that's the whole thing, is that there are people that some people know about and other people don't know about. So your point, Joyce, about asking people to nominate people, well, how do you do that?
it's like writing a thank you note to your staff and you miss out on somebody and then people are offended.
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, I kind of go with that too.
But yeah, but we honor people that are like, that are making furniture out of old wood. We honor them, and then somebody else says, well, I do that too. And okay, so we honor you. We honored the knitters that are doing the recycling old sweaters for knitting mitts. Sure, there's lots of people doing that, but still, when we find out about them, we'll honor them as well.
If you're handing out $100,000 checks or $50,000 checks, I'll get upset. If you're putting people's picture and saying they're wonderful people in a newspaper, I really don't care if you miss me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not giving out $100,000 check.
We're doing our best. I did it once with my son, and I don't normally like to mention that I do those things, but I'm trying to teach my son a lesson. So do not mention me.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest that
Lois does it every day, and she's been doing it for like 10, 20 years. I would nominate her for sure.
So let's, can I suggest that everybody who's listening right now, who knows of somebody who regularly and historically has been picking up a litter, let's get a list of all those people, and we can start acknowledging them and recognizing them. And Joe, you have a comment.
It's kind of important to have a photo too, or we can't very well make a poster. I mean, this is where my conundrum runs around, is getting photos, George. Anyway.
Sorry, we had an early spring. I think we start by getting the names, and then we approach people and say, you've been nominated, send me a pic. Can we have a picture? The pictures, I know what you're saying, the picture is not always easy, but Joe, why don't you comment here?
Yeah, I don't think Joyce is too far off with her comment. Like if we did ask for nominations, and even if it's just outside our group and those people, and and maybe it's maybe a group nomination, it's like, and just saying, it's been, we know you, these people are out there, and we got as much as we could. These are the people we have. Thank you for everything you do, and picking up the garbage and taking care of everything. And we just put some on the bottom. We understand we may have missed some people. We apologize, but we just want to thank everyone who's active in cleaning up our community and keeping it looking beautiful. Maybe something like that. And I think you're maybe on the right track with even just with us. And if we kind of maybe reach out one arm's length, people we know might know some other people, and we can kind of feed that back up. But maybe just a group thing. Maybe it's a collage of a few people, some of the more prominent ones, and maybe there's just some listings of the other one, and we kind of put something together like that. Just my thought.
So sort of a group thing is what you're suggesting, Joe.
Yeah, instead of a one-off for every single person, because I feel like there's going to be a lot. Maybe it's just a group thing for about just those people that are actively always picking up garbage and looking to keep the community beautiful. Just a thank you.
Okay, so I'm thinking somehow that we say something like the Environment Committee wants to recognize all of those people who have been picking up litter over the years, including the following people or something along those lines, and then have some pictures. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I like Jesse's comment there too. Once we nominate someone, we can ask that they nominate someone else. So we just kind of keep it going.
Okay, Jesse, hands up.
Yeah, let's say something like, we see you, we acknowledge you, and we appreciate what you do.
Okay. You got that, Sylvia?
I'm working on it.
Okay, all right.
Some people really don't want their photos. Like me, I don't want my photos. So if we are taking photos, we can take a shot from a distance of somebody walking with a garbage bag that we can't tell who it is, but we can have some shots like that to make Anne happy. And then have in the article, thank you to the Sioux Lookouters residents that do this. We see you, we acknowledge what you're doing, and we appreciate you. This article is for you.
So what I'm hearing you say is that we don't have any names attached to that?
We can add names. I'm okay with that. We might want to ask permission with names, but photos, those might be harder to get permission for.
All right, how can we wrap this up?
Okay, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to recognize Carl for his unique way of picking up litter and then ask for, I like that, Jesse. We see you, we acknowledge you, and we appreciate you. And if you have, like for all the others picking up garbage or refuse, litter, whatever, and then, then that standard thing, if you know of anybody, blah, 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 get in touch with me. But you know how many people have gotten in touch with me over all the years we've done this? One. So.
All right.
Maybe we tell them, now that you've been nominated, you have to nominate somebody else. They have to.
That's a little coercive.
Thank you.
All right, I'm having difficulty figuring it where we go with this. So we're nominating Carl for his unique way of doing it. We're saying we see you, we recognize you, we appreciate you, and then I'm not sure where we go from there, because is that
Well, then it's got the standard thing, if you know of somebody that should be nominated, contact me and that sort of thing. So, but I can put a little statement about for all the others that are out there, trying to beautify our community. We see you, we acknowledge you, and we appreciate you. I really like that.
Okay, so that is included in our recognition of Carl then. You're saying that we recognize the unique way you're doing it, and for the others out there, we see you, we recognize you, da-da-da.
That's right.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, we'll go with that. Okay, adaptation to climate change. Any new things there? Okay. We'll move on to promotion of locally sourced foods and sustainability. I think, yeah. I'm not sure that there's anything new we want to put on there, although maybe it's my feeling like the meeting's going on for a long time and we're all getting a little fatigued. So we'll move on to waste reduction. I was wondering what we would like to do regarding the banning of single-use plastics. I know it's comes up, and then we kind of, well, we have the bylaw from Fort Francis, which is great. We have the bylaw that we introduced 10 years ago. Is there another action we need to take now, or what are people's thoughts on this? Anne?
I'd like to go forward with it. Unfortunately, we'll probably be dumping it on Jody to write a report to bring it back to council. But if we don't do something, right, it's never going to go forward.
I agree, and that's my thought, is that the thing that I have given some thought to is that the Fort Francis bylaw was introduced by Fort Francis municipal councillor, and I feel that we need to have to lobby council to ensure that we have support from from a significant number of councillors to even get this thing moving ahead. And I'm not sure about the process of how we do that, or if people think it's important to do that.
Well, I'll speak to that since I was on council when we got it in there before. We were able to get it through because we did regular updates to council with each phase of the process. So we would do or the staff person did a report where we're at. This is the research. And council will say, very good, carry on. And we must have put at least had about 3 phases of the process, and council approved it every step of the way, pretty much. And in the end, it was 4-3 in favor. There were some against, but it did work. And then it became an election issue, and it was canceled by the next council.
Yeah.
But
So
by constantly keeping council involved in the process, I think was why we were able to get to get it passed.
So I'm wondering if the next step is that the Environment Committee submit a recommendation to the Municipal Council that a ban of single-use plastics be introduced, and would that set the ball rolling?
That might be a good idea, just to see what the reaction is, and you know, if it's worth our while to carry on at this point. They might be favor and they might not be.
What are your thoughts, Jody?
Just thinking about it, maybe, yeah, like a bit of an informational report to kind of provide the history of what was done, and then maybe then in that report include the Ontario municipalities or even Canada-wide municipalities that have banned the plastic bag. And and I think explain in the report, or just talk about in the report, how I think people's mindsets and attitudes may have changed in the last 10 years, regarding reusing bags or reusable bags, and everyone's a little more open to it. And retailers realize that it's not the end of the world if you don't have these single-use plastic bags. I think they can adapt a lot easier than they could 10 years ago. But I think definitely an informational report may be the way to start. And I can try to get something written up before the end of this month, if that's kind of what you want to do, and we can maybe share it internally. Our council reports are due like the last Friday of the month before the next month's meeting, so it may not make it to the May meeting. It might have to be the June, unless we can do something internal outside of a meeting to kind of provide comment, and then I can get my report into the end of April.
Okay, well, I would say that if we could, if we can do it in a quickly, then make our comments, then we could aim for the April meeting, but let's just see how that goes. I mean, you're going to have to put down the whereases as in your report. So if you want to put together, if you could do that, please, that would be great, and submit it to the Environment Committee for comment, and then we could see whether or not that gets done before the April meeting or goes to the May meeting. Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, sorry, it wouldn't be the April, it would be the May meeting at the earliest, June meeting.
Yeah, I realized when I was saying April, that's like next week or whatever. Okay, yeah. All right, well, does that sound like an approach we want to take then, Environment Committee members? Any comments about that?
Joe's got his hand up.
Who's that? Oh, Joe's got his hand up, yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, no, I think that's the right approach. I think we shouldn't go go all in on this until we know we have support from the majority of council. And I think that is the best way, is to demonstrate that this is something we want to see. And we want your backing to support us bringing further this type of bylaw back, either whether what we take from forts or how we utilize that, or things we add and cater it to our community. And it's just getting council support for us to do that work and present it to them, and then then it'll be on council to tweak it in whatever way they like, and go from there. If there's friendly amendments made, stuff like that. But I think it's important to establish that this is a path they want to go down before we just throw a bylaw at them that we have. So yeah, I like this approach and I support it.
Okay. Any other comments?
I support it as well. I think it's a good way to go.
Okay.
Yep, me too.
One thing, George, if maybe if the committee could send me just kind of towns that they know of that have done this. I know Fort Francis, and I believe there's at least another one or two for sure.
Leaf Rapids in Manitoba
Oh,
did
Leaf
it before we did.
Okay, no, that's good to know.
Okay, so we'll do that. Send it to you. Okay. Okay, mow-free zones. I think we've kind of covered most of that. We're looking at having some students make signs. We're looking at the 2 sign businesses in town to see if they can come up with something, a commercial version of the signs. Any other comment on the mow-free zones? And Bruce, you're in the process of trying to see if Rich can give you a map of areas that maybe can be left without cutting.
No, not so much. Excuse me, not so much a map. That areas that can be left without. He's going to give me an operational maps of the areas they do cut, and then maybe we as a committee or a delegate and Rich sit down and come up with some that may be left mow-free.
Okay. Just, I know that I don't want to get too confrontational with all this stuff, but the part of the highway on the side of the highway that gets cut that you were referring to, I have a feeling that it is done by an individual and not by the municipality. I suppose the best approach would be to talk to that person and see if we could get their cooperation. Since it is not their property, I'm sure the municipality could direct them not to cut it, but I don't think they want to get into that stuff. But
Well, that's an idea. I mean, that was just an example I used at that time when I was using it as an example. I thought that was part of the town cutting. So right now, I just want to deal with what the town's doing and maybe where we can reduce area cut. And then we do the public education on, well, that may similar to the gentleman cutting the area in question there.
yeah, I agree. I just thought I'd throw that out.
No,
Okay.
as I told Rich in our conversation, I get frustrated that I work at one of the tourist camps in town, and 2 or 3 times a year I have to go and whippersnip the ditches.
Yeah.
It's something I don't want to do. I don't see the benefit, but I've talked to the owner, my boss, and they're not interested in letting it go back to its natural state.
Yeah, there are a few places like that for sure. Okay, thank you everybody for your patience. It's been a long meeting, but I think it's been a good meeting. We've covered a lot of ground. So our next meeting is going to be May 6th via Zoom on YouTube. All right. Any other final comments before we end the meeting?
George, just before you log out,
Yes.
once everybody leaves, and I'm just going to go through a couple of steps on ending the meeting and converting the recording and saving it on your computer.
Okay, so I guess what you're saying is that people can sign out and I'll stay on. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Hey, thanks, everyone. Thanks, George.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. Bye.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you.